My name is Leslie Hulett. This is my Kinesiology Master's Course 5303. The title of my presentation is Addressing the Nutrition Education Gap in Student Athletes and Coaches. Coaching Challenge. Last track and field season, an athlete on our team was struggling to recover after our training sessions. He was vomiting, lightheaded, and struggling to breathe. This boy was a high caliber athlete, lots of lean muscle and strong. Eventually, he was vomiting after every workout, whether it was difficult or not. I knew something was wrong. I had earned my sports nutrition coach certification through the National Academy of Sports Medicine earlier that summer, and I was concerned about this athlete's nutrition status. I created a basic nutrition screening questionnaire that assessed the athlete's nutrition knowledge and daily eating and hydration habits. What I found for that particular athlete through the screening was that he was not eating breakfast. He consumed a high amount of sodium in his daily diet, was not hydrating properly, and not fueling for recovery. Every day he woke up dehydrated and in a constant caloric deficit cycle. He was expending much more energy than he was taking in, and his body struggled to keep up. This is a microcosm of a much larger issue in athletics. Nutrition education gaps have been identified from young children through adulthood, and it does not just affect athletes. Coaches also have a significant nutrition education gap. Further, when student athletes do search for nutrition education, they are choosing unreliable sources for their information, such as uninformed coaches, friends, and social media. Addressing this gap is essential because proper nutrition is a cornerstone of athletic development, supporting growth, cognitive function, training adaptations, and long-term well-being. There is a wealth of previous research that supports the need for nutrition interventions across the board. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 15.5 million children are obese, as are nearly 100 million adults, or 40% of the U.S. population. While there are several contributing factors to these alarming numbers, education gaps are one. Ramatala and Miliano's 2019 study showed that nearly 87% of the children they surveyed had poor physical fitness and 46% had low academic achievement. The authors concluded that a nutrition education program would help bridge the gap between physical fitness and academic achievement. This study shows that even if children are not participating in formal athletics, nutrition education and dietary behavior changes can help even improve academic achievement. Yagam 2025 performed a study on adolescent student athletes to assess their nutrition knowledge as it relates to their performance needs. His results showed that participants rated their own nutrition knowledge at a 4.8 out of 10. Significantly, participants greatly underrated their carbohydrate and caloric requirements for performance and greatly overestimated their protein needs by 263 grams per day. Yagam acknowledged the nutrition education gap in the emerging athlete population when they begin to participate in activities with increased nutritional demands. Yagam recommended a formal education program for student athletes focused on general nutrition concepts, sports-related fueling strategies, and the unique dietary requirements of athletes. Pereira et al. In their 2025 study surveyed recreational athletes on their nutrition knowledge and requirements. Their study concluded that recreational athletes scored their general nutrition knowledge at a 50.7% or average. Their sport-specific knowledge was scored at a 45.2% or poor. This study highlights the point that nutrition education gaps are not exclusive to high-level or collegiate athletes. The nutrition education gap is a generalized issue where these participants were not aware of their own nutrition needs as it related to the activity they participated in. Beyond athletes themselves, coaches also suffer from inadequate nutrition education, which is alarming, as many athletes cite their coaches as their source of nutrition information. Couture et al.'s 2015 study showed that high school coaches had significant knowledge deficiencies in basic sports nutrition concepts. Fewer than 30% of the surveyed coaches knew the answers to several questions related to carbohydrates and fats, two nutrients essential for athletic performance. On the positive side, university-educated coaches and coaches with coaching certifications performed better than those coaches who had neither. Lastly, the internet was cited as the most common source of the coach's nutrition information. Rossi et al. Researched a basic 12-week nutrition intervention program for 30 Division I baseball players. The results showed a marked improvement in knowledge increase and retention after completion of the program, with correct scores increasing from 56% to 70%. As far as dietary behavior changes, the surveyed athletes' fat mass decreased from 11.5 kilos to 10.5 kilos, and their shuttle run average times dropped from 4.58 seconds to 4.43 seconds after completing the 12-week intervention. Finally, KINE et al.'s 2021 study included a large sample size of 331 Division I male and female athletes from 17 different sports. Their findings showed the average overall nutrition score was 36.9% answered correctly. The athletes listed their top 3 sources of nutrition information as social media, coaches, and athletic trainers. Lastly, athletes who completed a college-level nutrition course scored significantly higher in overall nutrition knowledge and carbohydrate and hydration knowledge. Taken together, these articles represent a concerning nutrition education gap that spans from adolescence to adulthood, recreational athletes to collegiate athletes, and athletes to coaches. Student athletes frequently lack the knowledge necessary to meet their energy, carbohydrate, hydration, and recovery needs, while coaches, who often serve as primary nutrition advisors, may also possess significant knowledge gaps. As a result, athletes may develop poor feeling habits that negatively affect growth, recovery, body composition, health, and athletic performance. The literature consistently supports the need for evidence-based nutritional interventions beginning in childhood. This need extends beyond the athlete and is beneficial for all stakeholders. Educating student athletes on evidence-based formal sources is also important, as the literature highlights the fact that most athletes are using informal sources to get their nutrition information. The solution to the nutrition education gap is an evidence-based, practical nutrition intervention program that begins in childhood. For elementary age students, basic nutrition education performed in a fun and engaging environment helps lay the foundation for lifelong healthy habits. At this age, students can learn the main food groups and what they provide the body, the importance of hydration, the benefits of eating a variety of foods, and what healthy snack choices look like. Nutrition.gov provides free resources that include games, quizzes, and interactive activities to make learning fun and engaging. The middle school years are prime years to begin connecting healthy eating and lifestyle habits to athletic performance. At this age, student athletes will be likely introduced to the weight room, higher level conditioning, and more intense workouts and practices. This is the appropriate time to inform student athletes about certain fads, like energy drinks, and the negative effects of certain foods and drinks that are popular at that age. This is also the right time to introduce basic cooking skills if this has not happened at home, and the importance of quality sleep. Lastly, this age is able to grasp the differences and benefits of carbohydrates, protein, and healthy fats as it relates to the sports setting. The high school years move from basic knowledge to finer, more personalized details based on the activity the student athlete is participating in. This includes education on fueling for performance and the timing for that fuel. This includes what to eat and when for optimal performance. Recovery after intense activity is also an important concept, as this helps bring the athlete back to optimal state, repair muscles, and rehydrate. Lastly, it is important to introduce and explain food labels, including not just the nutrition label itself, but nutrition buzzwords like low fat, sugar-free, and 100% natural. Collegiate student athletes would benefit from a registered dietitian on their respective campuses. If this is not possible, a nutrition course that includes an individualized nutrition course that targets the nutrient needs of that particular athlete. This takes into account the athlete's height, weight, BMI, training regimen, and other needs. Hydration strategies, supplementation, sleep and recovery, and timing should also be covered. It is also important for collegiate student athletes to understand the NCAA's policy on performance enhancing and banned supplements. Educating collegiate student athletes on the best evidence-based resources for finding nutrition information is also vital. It would be in the best interest of each coach's respective institutions to provide nutrition education. While coaches need not be experts or dietitians, coaches should know enough to reinforce healthy behaviors, recognize warning signs, and know when to escalate a potential issue to a registered dietitian or sports nutrition coach. Educated coaches help foster a culture of healthy behaviors, not just in nutrition, but overall lifestyle. Coaches should also be provided with sources for finding nutrition information in order to best serve their athletes and institutions. In conclusion, the recommendations for each of these studies is an evidence-based formal nutrition education program beginning in adolescence. Once athletes have reached high school and the collegiate level, the education can go from basic to specific sport-related interventions in order to optimize performance, prevent injury and illness, and aid in recovery. Coaches who are provided nutrition education can be a trusted source of information. If a dedicated coach is willing to put in the time to learn best practices in nutrition, it is not only setting up his athletes for short-term success, but for long-term lifestyle benefits that go years beyond organized athletics. As my opening story showed, educated coaches are also able to spot warning signs of nutrition-related illness and can provide the interventions that could potentially prevent serious injury and help athletes compete at their best.